This story is a lot more than just a mermaid. ECHO has a mission of teaching and introducing our next generation how we can prevent climate change and pollution buildup in our freshwater ecosystems, like Lake Michigan. Take a look behind me as the windows are completely boarded up, the roof is caved in, and debris covers the ground. A construction company on site says that at least 18 of these apartment complexes are in utter loss. As far as Thursday's fire, it is still under investigation for the cause. However, I spoke to tenants who want answers. The East Kentucky Power Cooperative, or EKPC power line, has officially moved into Phase 1 of its construction process. Students and community members of Berea College are growing more and more concerned as time progresses. With Thanksgiving break just next week, I'm here on the quad to see what students, faculty, and staff members of Berea College are going to be doing over their Thanksgiving break. Let's go.
2, 1.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News All Day. I'm Mack Carmack in Rochelle. Some heavy delays at our area airports this afternoon. At JFK, delays are over 2 hours. At LaGuardia, departure delays are nearly an hour. With all inboard flights being held at their origin, Newark as well holding in all inbound flights at their origin. It's all because these storms are rolling in our area. Let's check in with John David, who's tracking those storms. John? At least 30 apartment buildings went up in flames last night, leaving dozens without a home. How these tenants are recovering. Construction on campus has been in full swing this semester, with the CMIT building just finishing its renovations and Edwards has just been demolished. Richard Dodd tells me that it was just too costly to remodel the building. Cancer-causing agents, health conditions, and public concern. Why a new 8-mile power line is being built in Berea and what the community can expect from this. EKPC, or the East Kentucky Power Cooperative, is building an 8.5-mile power line through Jackson and Madison County. The power line is expected to run 2 miles off of the Forestry Outreach Center, but still reach Berea Forest. Not to mention, it will be completely visible from the pinnacle. The power line is expected to be constructed near the intersection of KY 421 and Red Lake Road. This particular line is meant to maintain reliable electric service for the Bluegrass members and alleviate system constraints.
The purpose of the line is to maintain reliability in the area. We have an existing grid out here that's providing power to the people of this area. One of our substations has one of the largest number of customers of any substation on our system, and it's getting to a situation where it's getting into an overload concern, and we need to alleviate some of the load that's on that station, and to do that we have to have an additional substation built.
EKPC prides themselves in their nonprofit and community-based work. That being said, community members are in opposition to these new power lines. Thursday afternoon, EKPC held an open house at the Berea College Forestry Outreach Center. Although this was framed to be a community-wide event, almost all participants were community members that were invited to attend. Many property owners who live in the affected area brought concerns to this meeting. Not only would the aesthetics ruin the national forest, but EKPC introduces many health hazards as well.
Like all homeowners who are under or near the path, I'm concerned about various issues related to the power line. So we're here to find out more information today and start talking about what information we need additionally from EKPC so we can properly see what they're doing.
In 2002, EKPC published Electric and Magnetic Fields, or EMF, associated with the use of electrical power prepared by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. In the report, EKPC addresses a multitude of health concerns that their power lines address. One reason for this is because they only build their power lines above ground. In the report under Can EMF Exposure Damage DNA, they respond with, based on the experiments with cells, some researchers have suggested that EMF exposure may inhibit the cell's ability to repair normal DNA damage, but the idea remains speculative. In another section under Is there a link between EMF exposure and breast cancer, the report states a link between EMF exposure and alterations in the hormone melatonin was considered a possible hypothesis. Overall, the published epidemiological studies have not shown such an association. This statement is later contradicted in the next section, which states EMF exposure affecting hormones have been reported. Finally, EKPC admitted their EMF technology affects people with pacemakers and other medical devices. According to the FDA, interference from EMF can affect various medical devices, including cardiac pacemakers and implantable defibrillators. EKPC states tree clearing and construction will occur from November of 2024 to June of 2025, meaning freshmen and sophomores may witness some of these adverse effects. It is safe to say community members are concerned about these new power lines, concerns regarding health and cancer, deforestation, lack of clarity with EKPC's next steps, and the aesthetics of the forest.
I think everybody from Red Lake Road all the way down to the southern end where it'll connect to the main line, I think everybody along that pathway is going to have some level of concern. Probably there are areas where it doesn't go anywhere near a building, but there are plenty of buildings where it is going right over, and I think those are going to be the people who are most concerned.
With many more months or even years of construction regarding EKPC's power line, this story is ongoing. Reporting from the Quad for BCM Weekly Report, Mack Carmack. Back to you. In a Milwaukee neighborhood, there's an imaginary garden, making a real impact.
I'm gonna put the dragonfly.
This is Shell, the fairy garden at the corner of Bellevue and Prospect in Milwaukee. Aria Haggerty named it. Aria and her mom Carly put the garden outside of their home, and with the little fairy dust, it magically started to grow.
I thought it would stay in the fairy realm, for lack of a better word, but we've watched outside as college kids have dropped off old toys that they must have maybe in their dorm.
Trinkets, treasures, and toys dropped off for little girls and boys.
Why do you like this fairy garden? Because it's my home.
And they've spread. There are at least 4 other homes with fairy garden beds.
I just think it's great. It's sort of a community, brings us all together. It's a fun thing for kids. There's lots of kids that walk down our block just to look at them, and through the neighborhood, it's a great way to bring people together and bring kids together.
Families build gardens, kids check them out, and walkers leave gifts. Matthew Gednett thinks it's
bonkers,
and he really likes it. And none of this is make-believe. The fairies and gnomes bring together neighbors and homes. And these villages are open to the community, so anybody walking by can come and add their small personal touch. And so small too, but this fairy magic is big and true.
We've just had really beautiful connections made over something that is so simple.
In Milwaukee, Matt Carmack, TMJ4 News. This is Grimsley, an up-and-coming musician straight from Nashville, Tennessee. And we were lucky enough to get him right here in our very own studio. Grimsley made his musical debut in April of 2022 with his hit song Break in Me. He's been making music ever since, and his hit single Miss Reaper has reached over 100,000 views on YouTube. Over the course of his short career, Grimsley has already reached over 3.5 million streams on Spotify. But what kind of music does he make, and whom for?
What I've always told people is it's kind of melancholy yet hopeful. It's it's an emotional experience, I guess, is what I would say with the Grimsley stuff. And then I also play in a metal band called Atrial, and that's a more physical experience. It's just metal, you just beat down, just fun stuff. But I would say that it's a mix of, Bring Me the Horizon meets Oliver Tree to an extent. It's kind of all around.
Grimsley performed last Saturday night at Rebel Rebel, but he did not perform alone, this time with the full band. A local Berea band known as Center of Attention, and an alternative band from Birmingham known as Audiophile. Grimsley tells me that this is his first performance with the band, but not his first performance in general, as last year he performed in Dallas, Texas.
I don't feel like I'm starting at the ground floor anymore, and that feels good, but we're definitely still new. Slowly but surely, people are hearing about it, have the TikTok songs and all that stuff going on, which is cool. And hopefully things keep on going on.
Grimsley intends to keep performing and playing as his heart desires. His next performance, Miami. For those of you who missed Grimsley's performance, don't worry, as he performed 2 songs live from the studio, a cover of Drown by Bring Me the Horizon, and his first original, Breakin' Me. With his busy schedule and talent, you can plan seeing him performing in many places on his new tour. Reporting from the studio, Mack Carmack, BCN Weekly Report.